And what the world needs more of is more authentic, aligned business owners who have a good heart, who are doing the thing that's on their heart, who are driven by their mission and their purpose. And here's the thing, the second that I made the aligned decision, the money came. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Lucy Superfox Show. My name is Lucy Superfox. This is my channel and podcast. So on today's episode, I want to talk about building an aligned business. Now, it might be that you have a job, career, something you love doing. Maybe you freaking hate it. And whichever category you find yourself in, there's going to be some golden nuggets in this podcast for you. So how to move out the energy of struggle, sacrifice, hustle, hard work, and feeling like it never ends to an energy of joy, overflow, an extension of abundance, and building an aligned business that feels good to you. So without further ado, let's dive in. So I wanted to do this episode because I think this is probably the biggest shift that I have personally made over the last 2 years in the way I make my money, right? And the way that I have created a life for myself that feels good to me, that I want to continue. Because what happens a lot, and especially in your first entrepreneurial phase, so if you're in your first entrepreneurial phase right now, know that this might apply to you, is we go in with so much excitement. We have the idea, we're starting the new thing. We're like, oh my gosh, everything's going to be so exciting. It's going to be brand new. We get the logo, we do the website, we sort the things, we get the pricing, we do the paperwork, we've got the qualifications, where relevant. And we, make the Instagram page, or we get the post ready, or we do a content plan. And we go out there and it's just absolute freaking crickets. We're like, oh, that's a bit rubbish, right? And we feel a bit flat and we feel deflated. On the flip side of that, we can be sharing content and putting stuff out there and getting engagement, but just not seeing that translate into purchases. Or you can be like me, watching your algorithm do a freaking roller coaster up and down, and that having no correlation to the amount of money that you make. But finding yourself in this place where it doesn't seem to all get gel together, where the energy that you're putting into it isn't showing up in the output, whether the output is in the way you measure it, so whether it's in bank balance or client numbers or web sales, but the energy that you feel like you're putting into it isn't showing up for you. And honestly, one of the biggest shifts that I made that really has shown me why that happened is because as much as I was applying the effort and the energy and the intention, so the work ethic was there. Like, if there's one thing you do not question about Lucy Superfox, it's her work ethic, is my work ethic was there, but it didn't feel good. Now, when I say good, I don't always mean joyful and happy and easy, right? Like, even sitting down to do this podcast, I was like, am I in the right headspace? Is it the right thing? And I literally looked at my notes for the podcast I wanted to record this week, and I was like, yes, I'm all over this. This is me all over. I can talk about this. I'm in the energy, right? So I went from out of alignment to in alignment, and then I made the action. But what happens so much with entrepreneurship and building a business, or even building a career, and I will talk about how you apply this to a job as well in a second, but building a business or building a career can come from this state of pressure, and come from this state of should, and come from this place of have to, and come from this place of I need to do this in order to get Y. So I need to do X. So I need to post on Instagram to get people to see my brand, to sell products. I need to do 100 reach outs in order to get 10 people to look at my product or business. I need to do X in order to get Y. So it's a conditional receivership. And so we then feel like we get trapped in the thing that we do. So the method, the approach, the strategy, because we believe that's the only thing delivering the results. And this is backed up by hustle culture, by kind of strategy narratives, by things like funnels, by looking at performance statistics, all of that stuff. And that stuff has a place, and it's totally valid, and it's useful information when it's just information. But when that becomes the method of operation, when that becomes the way that you do the thing, you will be trapped in that's the way that you do the thing forever. You will believe that that is the way that you create success. So for example, what I feel very fortunate to have been in this position, because it really set me up strong in business, is that the first iteration of my 6-figure business, which was my fitness coaching business, Team Superfox, hence where the Superfox comes from, my first iteration of my business, which was created, the first kind of getting to kind of the 6-7K month mark was actually all on referral. So although I had an Instagram page for it, hardly used it. Although I had a personal Instagram, didn't have anywhere near the number of followers I've got now. And I don't have a massive following at the time of recording this. Like I'm still kind of in the 8,000 mark. But I would say I was probably in the kind of like 1,000 to 2,000 mark in terms of followers when I built this first iteration of my business. But it was built on referral. So a client would come to me, they'd have a great experience with me, and then they would recommend a friend. The things I was putting into my coaching programs, such as the mindset modules, the community element, organizing kind of like boot camp styles once a month, that really worked for the clientele that I had. They engaged with that. They came, that built the community. The community then grew into a WhatsApp group that grew into then trips and things and days out and doing things. And then that became a big community that referred other people into the community that then built the business into a 6-figure business, right? I then added on the mindset pieces completely separate. So people could do that part with me, even if they didn't want to do the fitness coaching, or they could remain in that, even if they didn't want to do the fitness coaching on a continued basis. So that was really the first iteration of the 6 figures. And it was amazing because I built it completely from a place of, wow, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for that referral and recommendation, and genuinely being so fucking passionate about what I did, what I knew, right? Because gut health and hormonal health were important to me even back then in 2016, before it became like the new thing. Mindset was important to me. I had all my clients had to do mindset modules with me, because if I just truly believe, still my number one core belief, you'll never make, and in fact, I think it's here. Yeah. Physical transformation is always preceded by emotional growth. Hold the faith. But what I normally say is, you'll never make a long-lasting physical transformation until you make an emotional, mental one first. So that was kind of the premise of the business and the premise of like how I built that. So building to that first phase felt really fucking easy, if I'm totally honest. And I know that not everyone's going to relate and resonate with that, but here's what I'm going to tell you about what happened next that you might resonate and relate with. Once I got to the next bit, it felt like keeping it was really fucking hard. It felt like going into that next phase of business where I was sustaining the growth, keeping the pace, felt way harder than building to it in the first place. And that's because, one, there's an element of naivety in that first 100K of your business where you don't realize that the VAT threshold is coming. You might not even have a limited company, so you haven't thought about corporation tax or maybe your accountant. And in the first 18 months of business, you don't really pay any tax because if you're based in the UK, because of the way the cycle falls. So there's an element of like ignorance and naivety and kind of just energy infusion that you can just move through in that first kind of phase of business. So if you are in that first phase of business and you're finding it hard, you're finding it hard to put yourself out there, you're finding it hard to get results, you're finding it hard to grow things. I'm going to talk about that in a sec, but I'm going to share with you kind of the full picture of my journey and then break it down for you. So then the second phase felt really fucking difficult. And I was really trying to work out, why is this harder? Like, how is it harder to keep something than to grow something? Like, that makes no sense to me. And what had transpired was that I actually was kind of over it. I was actually over what I was doing week to week with my business. I built some amazing flexibility, plenty of choice. You know, I had a great web platform at that point. Like, I'd created a ton of programs that were really right for the kind of girls that were kind of working with me. And so I had lots of like back knowledge. It wasn't like I needed to make everything from scratch every time, right? Like, I had everything I needed. It was a completely workable, repeatable, followable business. But I'd fallen out of alignment with it, because I myself had moved to a place where I'd found a place with food where food was just food. Like, yes, it was nourishment, but it was also just food. I didn't need it to soothe me. I didn't need it to entertain me. I didn't need it to grow me or comfort me. And so I'd moved into this place where food was a real place. Like, I had a balanced relationship, to use that word that I know not everybody loves, but I had a balanced relationship with food. And so I also knew at this point that I was never going to put myself through the extremities of anything like a comp prep probably ever again, because I never wanted to put my body in that place where, because I'm a highly sensitive person, because I have a very highly sensitive nervous system, I just knew that was never going to work for me. So it was coming from this really weird place of coaching girls for competitions. And I had girls at this point that were about to go for their IFBB Pro card. So this is like a big deal, right? Like, this is serious stuff. And I just thought to myself, is that what I want? Now, secondary, there was the other element that ran with the nature of how industries evolve and change, which was I either had to kind of allow myself to get on the performance enhancing drugs train with my clients if they wanted to use it, or I had to get off. And it kind of all happened at once in 2021. Yeah, 2021. It kind of all happened at once, where I made the decision that I was like, I don't think this is how I want to put my business moving forward. I'm not sure what I want it to look like. I'm open to evolving. And I was in a great financial position, so I could take some kind of breathing room. I could let clients fall off and it not be a big deal. And I just made the decision that that wasn't the direction I wanted my life to go in. I didn't want to spend every weekend at a competition. I didn't want the only goal for somebody to get somebody super shredded and then outside of getting them super shredded for them to question their worth and how they feel about themselves, getting big again. And that's not because that applies to everyone, but that was what I was seeing with the clients I currently had. And that was because they were mirroring how I felt about competition prep, that I was only worthy or safe or good enough when I was lean and I wasn't when I wasn't. So then moving into this place of like balance and liking myself. And I was like, if I'm going to keep a nutrition business, it's got to move in this direction. So there was an element of nutrition that remained in my business through something called the Thrive program. And that remained in my business for a few more years before I kind of pivoted out fully into completely doing kind of mindset, which is what I do now. So it was an interesting time because in that time I could have told all the stories about why it's not going to work for me or how I'm not going to earn the money or the money's not going to come, or if I let all these clients go, where's that fucking 10 grand a month going to come from? And here's the thing, the second that I made the aligned decision, the money came. There were clients that signed up to mindset programs. I was offered a really great teaching some leadership workshops. I was offered some freelance event stuff that was stuff I could do in my sleep. And suddenly all this stuff, and it all started to feel much easier and much lighter. Now, at this time, I did have a network marketing business that was in a really, really amazing place. You know, I was titled at the top level. I was earning, you know, 4 figures from that business at that point. So it was definitely high 4 figures. So I was in a great place with my business. So I don't want to ever mislead anyone into thinking that I went to zero and then went, oh, now what? But that being said, what then happened was there was another season of my business where I was kind of figuring out how all these pieces fit together. So the consulting work I was doing, the leadership stuff I was doing, the network marketing stuff I was doing, the mindset stuff I was doing, and I was spinning a lot of plates, truthfully. And so when it kind of was another year before it really landed, that when we moved to this house, there was just a shift in me about what I wanted. And actually, this was the beginning. Little did I know, it was kind of, I'd already been in lots of deep therapy, doing a lot of work on myself. But the second we moved into this house in June 2022, there was an opening in me that I really allowed myself to surrender to the end of the healing season. And that's when the work got real deep. That's when somatics were kind of really brought into my world. That's when I came off thyroid medication. That's when I really took the time to kind of plug in and dial into my nervous system and how I was really feeling and process trauma. And yeah, it was a big time. So I was very fortunate to have lots of these little plates that were kind of propping up my business. So I financially could keep the same level of lifestyle, but not necessarily need to be driving something forward. And that's really where I stayed until 2 years later, probably. So making money from different things, kind of turning over the same amount of money every single month. You guys know you always get what you're available for. I say this all the time. So there was an amount of money that I was energetically available for. And I kind of sit in a range between 10 and 20 grand a month. And that is a good life for me. And so I can do that with a lot of flexibility, a lot of choice, a lot of freedom. And that felt really good. And then it got to 2024 and the summer of 2024. And I was like, there's just things that are still not quite clicking and sticking. There are things that aren't feeling great. And at that point, that was when I made the decision to stop working my network marketing business, that I was kind of checked out is probably the right phrase from that. And again, there's no particular one reason why that happened. I might record a podcast on it at some point. No reflection on the company I was partnered with, absolutely zero. No reflection on the team that I had, no reflection on the actual products and the kind of offering, but very much a reflection on contrasting core beliefs that I now have about hustle culture, about effort, about how to build an aligned business, hence this podcast, that just didn't stick, that just I couldn't make it click. And that's never say never, right? But I couldn't make it click. So I made that decision to kind of step back and to really dial into what did click, what made me feel good, what did I want to dial forward, what did I want to dial up in my, foreseeable future. And so at this point, this is when I knew I wanted to go deeper with my work as a life coach. I've got a ton of random certifications connected to that. But I was like, I want something that's really deep. I want to really facilitate a journey for people that when they work with me, they're not just kind of skimming the surface and we're putting together, life transitional moment strategies or anything like that. Like I was like, no, or helping them build a business or helping them with their money, or like, I was like, no, I want to go deep with people. And so that is when, through my own discovery, my own experiences, I discovered root cause therapy. And I was like, this is the thing. And that's because root cause therapy works at 4 layers of consciousness. So I love the fact that you work all the way deep into the unconscious. So shifting the stuff that you're not aware of, reprogramming what's in the subconscious through the reframing. You're consciously aware of completely what's happening the whole time. And then you get that connection to the superconscious or the divine or your higher self, whatever is a vibe for you, through the lessons and the wisdom that comes through. And so it's been so powerful. Like, I mean, I literally just got the best testimonial today. In fact, I'm going to read it to you because it was so freaking good. She's like, I can literally feel the threads that were attached to the weights that have been holding me down all my life, fraying bit by bit and breaking all together. I'm so freaking excited. It's worth all the money for this personal work. I am really feeling it. P.S. The fear of conflict, the fear of the needing validation and the fear of abandonment have completely gone. So that's the kind of stuff I deal with and I love it. And so that was when I knew that root cause therapy was the thing. And so I then trained in root cause therapy. And the second that I started that qualification, I was like, this is it. This is it. And around that time was then when I got the idea for the Goddess Code, which is my new course, brand new program, launching very beginning of July, the Goddess Code. So I got that idea last year. So it's been 9 months in the making. And it was only when in all of these seasons that I lent into what felt good, what felt right. And look, when I say good, I don't mean easy, but what feels like that's the thing. It feels like a certainty. It feels like you just know. And this is what I said in last week's podcast. If you haven't listened to last week's podcast about, learning to trust yourself and reclaiming your intuition, when you're in a high state of dysregulation, when there's a lot of fear in the nervous system, when there's a lot of trauma going on, unprocessed emotions, unprocessed experiences, what then happens is they're the ones acting out and responding to things. So your anxiety does a lot of the talking. So trusting yourself and reclaiming your intuition is often on the other side of a deep healing journey. And if you find yourself on the other side of that deep healing journey right now and you're ready for an aligned business, you're ready for an aligned career, then that is where the Goddess Code will take you. It is the 7-step strategy to having it all. So we talk about love, money, body, and business inside the program. And we work through the 7 layers of the 7 strategy to build from the bottom up all the way to your connection to divine consciousness, so that you are building a business, a relationship, a life, and a body in alignment with who you really are, your deep authenticity and who it is you truly want to be. So if you are at the beginning of your journey right now and you're in that first phase of business, maybe the second phase of business, maybe you're restarting and need a reset and refresh in your business, and you're feeling frustrated because you're not getting the results that you want, I want you to know that I totally see you and I totally hear you. That didn't happen for me in the first phase of when I built my business. But here's the thing. I was building the first phase of my business through naivety, through ignorance, through a lack of knowledge, a lack of experience. So I didn't know what to expect. I had no expectations for myself. So it's very easy to exceed 0 expectation. But when I came into this season of my business, right? So kind of the last 12 months, I had a lot of expectation. There was a lot of pressure on myself because I am a high performer, because I do make 6 figures, and I was like, I'd had so much attachment to, I want this to work. I need this to work so that I can prove that I'm right. And that was like the biggest lesson ever. That was freaking hilarious, because I wanted to prove to myself that I was right, that hustle culture and high pressure environments don't help people thrive. And then I was like, you're doing it again. So there was a lot of lessons along this way, hence why the Goddess Code took a year to birth, right? But that being said, what I found was that the second that I just tapped into what was on my heart or what was on my mind with some sense of structure, everything started to flow. And this is why I don't love these like 30-day posting guides. Look, unless you are someone that can take a journal prompt and then write something off the back of it, then amazing for you. But this is why I'm not a big fan of prescriptive anything. So when I say the Goddess Code is a 7-step strategy, it's a 7-step framework that gives you the tools and resources so that you can lead you. Because there is way too much of like this, what I'm going to call, there is way too much of this guru culture where it's like, this person knows, they created this result and I can duplicate and copy their result. Sure, if you were the same person with the same history, with the same trauma, with the same nervous system, with the same human design type, with the same business model. The truth is, most of us are not. We're us. And what the world needs more of is more authentic, aligned business owners who have a good heart, who are doing the thing that's on their heart, who are driven by their mission and their purpose. Not more people that just want to make money online because it's cool and it's what everyone else is doing. Like, we are in a time where there are people making money online who aren't even real, who are AI accounts. If somebody sat behind a computer and made a fake AI account, my husband and I were talking about this actually yesterday, and saying that there are probably Instagram accounts that aren't even real people, as in it's not a 27-year-old blonde female. It's actually a guy who's 45, hidden behind his computer, and has made the whole account on AI, and she's got millions of followers and getting paid by ads. And that's awesome if that feels aligned and good for you. But most of the time, we cop out. We don't listen to our aligned kind of inner voice about what's right for us, about what the next step is for us, about what we actually desire, about where we want to go, because we're too busy chasing the next shiny thing. And I know because I've got ADHD, right? But the magic didn't happen for me ever in any of the stages of my business. Not when I built the fitness coaching business, not when I built network marketing business, not when I built this iteration of the business. In zero of those iterations was there a shiny penny that changed everything. The thing that changed everything was me. The energy that changed everything was me. The voice that changed everything was me. The passion, the commitment, the devotion, the love, the clients feeling seen and heard, the people resonating with the content, the energy of my podcast, that was all fucking me. And you have that exact same power in your business, but you've got to become self-led. We've got to stop looking outside of ourselves for the answers and the next shiny thing or the next strategy or the next structure that someone else is going to give you. And just to be super clear, I have a very, very, very broad experience in things like learning difficulties, accessibility challenges, understanding how people learn and process things. And let me tell you, in most of the scenarios where you are being told what to do, it's coming from a neurotypical perspective. So if you're neurodiverse, it ain't gonna fucking work. And also it's not being infused with your energy and the things that set your soul on fire. And so this is where it's so important for you to find that alignment in order for your business to grow. If you're not getting signups, if you're not getting visibility, if you're not getting connection, if you're not getting discovery calls, if you're not making sales or whatever it is you do in your business, and I don't even need to know what freaking industry you're in for this to resonate and land and for you to know what I'm saying is speaking to you, is because I don't need to know about what your industry does or says or the trends or the information. I just need to know about energy, and I need to know about you. And what I know for sure about energy is that energy is infectious, is that when somebody is stood in their power, in their magic, in the thing that sets their soul on fire, and the thing that they know can serve and help and guide others, if that's what you do, or provide a service for others, right? I buy so many random dog products. They provide a service for me. They might be a product that's a shampoo that does a certain thing. It's still as valuable to me as when I have a therapy session, right? Because it changes and improves the quality of my life. It's something I need or want. I feel that way about jeans. When I find jeans that fit my short ass, my massive short ass, to be clear. So it's never about the product and how valuable the product is to everyone. It's about how valuable the product or the service is to the person that you are speaking to. But that first starts with you. So if you are not aligned and on purpose and certain and sure and in your power and in your magic and magnetic about the things that you offer or serve or give, babes, no strategy, no approach, no amount of working hours is going to change that. And this is where that culture and narrative just has to die, because what is happening is way too much is that men and women alike, but predominantly women, especially highly sensitive women, especially neurodiverse women, are telling themselves they can't have it all. They're telling themselves that it's this or that. They're telling themselves they must struggle in order to succeed. They must give up something in order to get. And let me tell you, it's bollocks. I sit here now a year on from where I was telling crazy stories with the most amazing, beautiful business that is completely thriving, right? And I mean, thriving, getting referrals every day, getting testimonials every day, getting messages from clients saying, thank you so much, getting course sales happen when I'm sleeping, right? Because of the fact that I am in my magnet, I am in my magic, I am in my power about the stuff that I do, about how I help people, about how it serves and changes the world. Not because I work more hours. In fact, I work the least I have ever worked. I am the most strategic I have ever been, but not because I got a templated blueprint off the tinterwebs, but because I sat down and said to myself, right, What do I need to create? How do I want to create it? How does that feel good to me? When is a good time to do that? Like now, I only create content on hair wash days, right? Because I like the fact that I feel good in my body when my hair's done, I got a full face on, not because I'm insecure, but because I like doing those things for myself. I like wearing nice clothes. So when I come here to speak to you, I'm not doing it out of need to get a podcast out by Monday. I'm doing it as a, what do I want to say? What's on my heart? What am I passionate about? What's important for me to share? Now, you're going to be listening to this thinking, Lucy, I don't run a business like that. Lucy, I have a career. I have a job. I'm an accountant. I'm a lawyer. I'm a project manager. I'm a doctor. I'm a teacher. You can still infuse your work with the same level of alignment and energy if it's aligned. And if it's not aligned, start asking yourself the questions about what it is you want from your career moving forward. Right. So I was talking to a client the other night, actually, and she was in a similar position where she doesn't hate her job, but she doesn't want to do it forever. And I said to her, rather than thinking about goals for your career and where you want to be in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time, how about let's start looking at things that would be green flags, things that would be like, oh, that's interesting. Or, oh, I'm curious about that. Or, oh, that feels good. And list those things out. So if you hate your job as an accountant, but you still love working with money because you find it fascinating, green flag. If you love your job as a teacher because you love working with young people and helping them feel seen and heard, okay, well, that's a green flag. You don't have to be a teacher to do that. So it's all about working out where are the green flags for you that feel aligned, that feel good, that feel like you're in your purpose, not needing to resign from your job and then start all over again and go, what is my purpose? Like, it doesn't have to be this massive question. That being said, what I love so much about the Goddess Code is that is exactly what I walk you through with the 7 steps to building the strong foundations, to having that deep connection to your calling and that deep purpose in your profession, no matter what you do. So if right now you are in a job, you're in a situation where you work a set number of hours, you're fixed on those days, you get fixed vacation, you've got fixed tasks that have to get done, and you feel very uninspired and disconnected, like it's not aligned at all, and you're like, I just want to feel good about my work. Let me tell you, you can create that same way too. But this is where it's really important to get clear about what you want. So many of us moan about what we don't have and what we don't want without knowing what we do want. And like I said, you don't have to know what you want for the rest of your career, but you need to know what you desire or what you're curious about as the next green flag, as the next step. Because we need to be in the energy of, I'm on purpose, I feel good, this is what my magic is, this is where I'm magnetic. And even when I do consulting work, even when I deliver a leadership workshop, like I'm delivering a workshop next week on emotional resilience for leaders. And even though I'm like, it's not the thing that I'm sat here talking to you about that sets my soul on fire and makes me all like this, it is something that I'm going to deliver with the same level of energy, whether I want to do the workshop or not, right? And so this is where we have to bring in the same level of energy and magic into the things that we are currently doing in order to carry that through into the things we don't want to do. If we're not in the position to be able to make big decisions like quit my job, move on, start the business. But here's the thing. I truly believe that your business can be a massive support vehicle. Sorry, your career can be a massive support vehicle for the business you want to build on the side. Or your career can give you so much and you can gain so much from your experience whilst you work through it until you figure out what you want to do next. But it's the perspective that we bring to it. And this is where we have to get out of the energy of work harder, perform more, do more to get more, because there are so many ways for us to receive more money, to receive more clients, to receive the bonus, to receive success, to receive love, to receive job opportunities. But we have to be open to receiving. And because so many of us are so in the hustle, so focused, so head down, so this must be the thing that works, we're not open to receiving. We're not open to the unknown. We're not open to limitless possibility because we're way too attached to the action and the outcome. And that is because of the narrative that says we must work these hours, we must do these tasks, we must tick these things off, and that is how you build success. And let me tell you, it's fucking bollocks. So if you are ready to build an aligned business, an aligned career, something that feels on purpose, that feels like you're like, yes, this feels good. I wake up every day and I want to do the shit that I do. Then you can join me either on a free discovery call to find out more how I can help you, or it sounds like you might be ready for the Goddess Code. So I'm going to drop the links below, but the Goddess Code you can grab at lucysuperfox.com/goddess. It is the 7-step strategy to having it all: love, money, body, business, for the woman who is ready to stop giving up anything to get something new and ready to move into aligned energy across all areas of life. So if that feels like a little bit of you, it is going to be open for enrollment at the very beginning of July at lucysuperfox.com/goddess. But if you're unsure, you're not sure what your next step is, you can book a free discovery call with me on the link below. So remember, building an aligned business comes from you, comes from the energy that you bring, the magic that you bring, the desire that you bring, the love that you bring, and that applies to everything else in your life too. So if you are ready to move into that alignment, authenticity, and to radiate your absolute magic, then you can check out the Goddess Code and sign up at lucysuperfox.com/goddess. So thank you as always for joining me on the Lucy Superfox show. I would love for you to share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you thought, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.